The interesting thing within our personal lives that I think causes such procrastination versus business is in business, especially if you're in a startup, if you don't make a choice, or even like I imagine in the Secret Service, like if you don't make a choice, there is an immediate consequence. Whereas in your life, you can kind of meander for a year, 3 years, 5 years, and just sit and procrastinate. Whereas like in a Secret Service situation, when Trump is being shot at, meandering for 5 years as a Secret Service agent, I imagine isn't possible.
So that is something, what will help with that is it's called instrumental. It's called sense making. It's understanding a person's motivational mindset. An instrumental person in certain jobs can yield more instrumental people. This is where I am doing something where I am task oriented. This just happened, so I have to respond this way. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. Like I'm looking at the overall, what is my next step, then my next step, then my next step. When you are instrumental, you are non-emotional. I'm not in the emotion of it. So although like if you bring a protectee getting shot, right? Although it can seem emotional, yes it is, but in that moment, at least through training, it's shots being fired, jump in front, cover, shield, evacuate. You run through those things. That's being instrumental, right?
Which is having like a framework for what to do
You're
next.
functioning. You're being tasked. You're task-oriented. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. You have a business decision to make. Let's say something bad's happening in the business. Okay, how do I stop this hemorrhaging? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. That's instrumental. On the flip side of that is something called identity. When I am identity, I am, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. This is horrible. I don't know what to do. I'm confused. I'm really upset about this. I can't believe I'm finding myself here. Now I'm in that purgatory space of not doing anything. I'm also emotional, so I can't think clearly, and I'm not able to make moves.
So how did they train you as a Secret Service agent to have that instrumental mindset?
You do.
How?
Action. Everything's action. Make a choice, move, go, go, go. Do you know what's interesting? Everything was about movement. Don't be still. Even when you're getting shot at, don't be still. They actually teach you to run in zigzags. It's actually really hard to shoot someone. If they're not perfectly still, I mean, we would shoot paper targets. You miss. You're stressed out, your emotion, you're looking at this guy shooting, that person shooting, am I shooting like shit? Because everyone's looking at each other's scores. And, if you don't shoot well, they're going to be like, oh, I don't want to take you out on the next raid with me, right? So you've got that adrenaline rush. It's a hard thing to do. But they teach you like, hey, if you're getting shot at, don't sit there like a dummy. Move, run. And while you're running, run like zigzag. Throw people off, move. And I've taken that premise of always being kinesis. Kinesis is a Greek move. Kinesis, move. Always move. Create momentum no matter how stuck you feel. And I followed this actually in my own life. Just move. Don't sit still. I'm not saying don't grieve, don't be sad, don't feel. It's okay. But don't put yourself in a place where you're completely stagnant, because that's where you get stuck and you don't move and you get comfortable and you become afraid. If you can just create movement, I'm going to create a little bit of movement. I'm going to make a decision here and then another one. If you can just stay in kinesis, movement, you'll be able to move through whatever it is you're going through.
I remember I interviewed Jocko Willink, and he said pretty much a very similar thing to me. He said in the SAS or the Navy SEALs, when you're lost, you're not going to get any new information if you just stay where you are. So you have to just move. Even if you don't know which direction, movement generates information, which then can inform a better decision. And you're kind of saying the same thing there, which is if you're stuck, you need to just get into kinesis, make a decision, start moving, and then you'll learn at least something.
You'll learn something, even if it means reaching out to someone. It's just do something that's helping you create some type of progress. When you don't move, when we don't have kinesis, like this is where you get stuck in that emotional depravity of like, I feel horrible, this is happening. Like if you can find ways to move out of your problem, as bad as it feels, don't bathe in it. Like don't take a bath in it. Feel it, but like to a point. And you know what else too? You also don't have to figure it out. You don't have to figure out why did this happen or why did this person do it. Sometimes there's nothing to figure out. Sometimes it just is. Sometimes there's brilliance and freedom and just letting go and saying, this happened, I don't know why it happened, and I don't need to know why, but I can figure out how I need to move forward. Kinesis, how am I gonna move out of this? Where do I go to next? Sometimes the more you sit and you analyze this stuff, the more pain you put yourself through. You're rethinking, you're retelling, you're reliving. And especially if you're reliving things that somebody else did to you, like the pain, and you ever have those moments where you start to relive, I should have done this, I should have said this. Do you know it actually activates the same part of the brain that's activated when you do cocaine?
So it becomes addictive.
Yeah, it makes you high. Think about that. As even though it's negative feelings, you're like, yeah, you're having this whole thing happen. And it's like, I always look at is what I am doing leading me to the path I want to go to. If it's not, then I try to relinquish. I'm like, listen, it's okay to feel bad, but you will feel less bad if you can keep that momentum going.
Do you think that victimhood is addictive?
I think it becomes a habit. I don't think most people want to be there. If you ask anybody, nobody's going to say, yeah, I love it. But what happens is it becomes a habit, and it's a pattern of behavior and a pattern and a way of thinking that you become used to.